Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In the previous two videos, I explained a little bit about the interior of KITT and the exterior of KITT. So today I'm going into a little bit more detail about some specific parts and specific setups I've done to the car so that it's road legal to drive. So there are basically two different ways if you want to build a KITT replica. One way is that you make it as screen accurate as possible. So you just put everything into the car, which KITT had in the TV show as well, but you will not be able to drive it road legal, especially in some countries. I'm not 100% familiar with all the rules in all the countries, but where I live in Europe, especially in Switzerland, they have a lot of rules you have to obey. But if you build a KITT replica and you want to drive it on the road, you have to make some choices as screen accuracy. I don't even know if these words exist. Screen accuracy. But anyway, well, I'm just explaining to you now the light setup of my car. So there are a lot of different ways you can make a setup on a car. Especially with my kit, I had to choose a light setup which is road legal as well. So there's always a big discussion about how many fog lights you should use and stuff like that, and which season you are building. If you're watching the videos of the Knight Rider historians, you can see that KITT actually always had a different light setup, so it wasn't actually the same in every episode. So for that reason, um, there isn't the one way to make a light setup of a car. So my setup is very different from the setup they used in the show, and especially it's different from other replicas as well. So you could use fog lights in Switzerland or Europe as well, but there are certain rules you have to look up for them. I would suggest that you look it up on the internet. So I just show you how I did it, and I passed inspection with this light setup. So I'm gonna show you that right now. So I just take you with me. So we just go now in front of the car. I can show you a little bit more about it. So let's put the camera down a little bit. See it a little bit better now. So as you can see, I have the orange turn signals, the positioning lights, and some words, I know some words would be different in English, but I just tried as good as possible in English with the words I have in mind. I know, but I think you all know what I mean. So that's the turn signal lights. Here they have to be orange, and then the positioning lights and the DRLs, they light daytime running lights. Um, and what you can see here is actually the motion sensor of the scanner. So whenever somebody's passing the car, you can see the scanner turn on. Same goes for the other side as well. And I'll show you how they work actually. So once if you turn on the headlights, you should be able to see that the DRLs, the daytime running lights, I just call them DRLs, fire up as well. So normally um, these lights, especially uh, I show you a little bit different now. I just made a small mistake right now, so it's better to show like this. Actually, if you get into the car and turn the ignition key like this, the first thing what happens is that the DRLs turn on. So in Europe, most or almost every part of Europe, you have to um, have these lights on at daytime, or you have to use your pop-up headlights or the normal headlights of the car. So I wired it up like this. So if you turn the key and start like the ignition key, go to ignition, then they are lighting up. So whenever I drive with the car, they are turned on. What I see right now is that one of them isn't turning on. So that's something you have with an old car. You always have issues like that. So I have to check if there is a. Now you see that's just somewhere is a bad contact with the cable. So now you can see this one is lighting up as well. So the rules are, whenever you turn on the pop-up headlights, they have to dim down a little bit so that they are not as bright. So that you are not driving around like a Christmas tree lighted up in front. So they are just dimming down in night whenever you use the pop-up headlights as well. So like I said, once you turn the key, ignition is on, the DRLs turn on, and basically that's the normal setup I use to drive around. So I'm gonna show you the turn signal lights as well. So I just put in the hazard light so you can see all of them at once. So now they should start blinking. Now you can see the orange lights. So they have to blink. In some countries it's different as well. So you see it on the other side as well. And what else we have to do here in Switzerland is we have to wire up the marking lights on the side of the car. They have to blink as well. Normally, if you just turn on the lights, basically they just turn on and are lit, and they don't blink actually. So here you have to wire them up like this so that they are blinking with the turn signal lights. So same goes for the other side, of course. So you can see here it's blinking as well. So it doesn't even matter if you turn on the headlights or the parking lights, they will never stop, or they are not turned on if you put on the lights. So that's one thing you have to know as well if you are using it in most parts of Europe. So basically, I know that there are a lot of people out there who are doing a different thing, especially inspection. Maybe in Germany or other countries are not that hard, but here in Switzerland they are just going to the car and just try out that stuff, and they know for that part they know everything. So it makes it a lot easier if you just obey the rules there and just wire it up correctly. For the tail lights, you can see it here now. I have the tail light cover on, which I used to call it a gray zone, because most of the time it's not, I would say, actually it's not 100% street legal. But that's not the point of the video here. So I just wanted to show you how it looks. Then there are a lot of different setups you can do with the taillight as well. So my setup is that there are just two bulbs on the outside which are blinking if you make a turn. And actually I have the tail light from Knight of Kentucky, which is just a plexiglass and a frame, and you actually remove uh, the part of the lights which is already smoked or like a little bit darker. So it's not like in the show. In the show, they just put a plexi on the tail lights, and you have actually like the double darken effect. But in this case, they are not as dark as they were at the show. Or you could even use some brighter lamps or LEDs. But with the LEDs, it's not that easy as well here in Switzerland or in Europe. But as you can see, it's actually bright enough. So if you make a turn, so they should be able to see you. Otherwise, you can just always roll down your windows and reach your arm out of the window. Just give them a sign. Just joking. Actually, yeah, that's the setup of the turn signals. I will show you now how it looks like if you turn on the pop-up headlights. So, if you turn on the headlights, you can see that the other parts of the tail lights are lit up. So the actually, if you the turn signals are appearing a little bit brighter right now, but that's absolutely normal. So if you hit the brake pedal, you should see that they are uh, bright enough to recognize on the street. So I just hit the brake shortly for you, like this. You should see now that they are very bright. Okay, so much for the taillights setup. I just show you how the front actually looks with all lights turned on. So here you are. Now you see the turn signals on the parking lights or positioning lights. You see the DRLs turned on. Actually, the flickering of DRLs is not visible in person. It's only because of the camera shutter speed here. And of course, you see pop-up headlights. And now the DRLs actually are a little bit dimmer, because that's of course the rule. If you use the pop-up headlights, they have to dim down a little bit. They don't have to turn off, but they have to dim. So that was something I had to learn about them. So once the police stops you and they see that they are fully lit up and they don't dim down, they are not happy with that. But like the setup I have here, I can drive around at daylight without any issues, without any problems, and without the headlights turned on. So just once, if it's dark or if you drive through a tunnel or something like that, you have to turn them on. But yeah, actually, I want to mount a sensor inside of the car, like that he is like the modern cars, that you can see the headlights pop up once it reached a certain amount of darkness outside. So once if it's dark enough, so the headlights turn on. So there are sets you can buy outside, um, or even at sites or pages like AliExpress or things like that. They have a lot of stuff to build to put into the car. So I might doing that one day, just to have yeah, bring KITT a little bit more to life. Actually, it's a cool thing if you just drive in the dark and the headlights pop up automatically. It's a cool thing. It's a cool gimmick. Yeah, actually, that's most most of it, or even all of it. What I have to tell about the light setup I have on my KITT, and I think it for like a European version of KITT, it's not that bad. Actually, if you are at a meeting or car show or something like that, if you turn off the ignition and you turn off the lights, you only see the outside, the lights down there, because of course they are a little bit brighter even if they are turned off. But the DRLs, they are smoked. So you if once if they turned off, you don't see them actually, and I think it filled the gap um, pretty much as desired. So I like the setup I have on my car. So maybe in the future I will find out if there is a way to get turn signals, because you don't need the position lights really. So maybe there is a way to get some turn signals or turn signal lights which are like smoked as well, because the smoked DRLs here, they are totally fine, they are totally street legal. So I think there must be a way to get some turn lights which are not that um, which you can't see that good, because yeah, as you know, KITT didn't have the turn lights mounted in the front nose. Actually, they the first season, you know, they had the plexi up here, the plexiglass, and you can see sometimes. I remember in the first season, mostly in the first or second season, you can see a few scenes where they're using the turn lights, where you can see that they are blinking, but they are underneath here. So normally a Firebird or a Trans Am has the turn lights up here, which is cool, which I like very much. Um, but in this case, I had to put them into the front nose. So everything so far is street legal to drive. So if you have any questions about the light setup, feel free to ask. If you want to know which DRLs I used, or even which turn signal lights combination I have, I can provide a link in the description, or if you just write a comment if you are interested, no problem at all. Um, Actually, I do know where the DRLs are from. The others, the positioning lights combined with the turn signal lights, I don't really know where they are from. I got them from a friend. So normally you find them in stores which are for farmers, like they use on their tractors or their machines, because um, yeah, you don't usually find things like that for normal cars on the market, because they have normally special setups which are combined with the headlights. So I have to find out which ones they are, and of course, yeah, they are normal lights. They are not LED. So at the moment, they're just combined with the DRLs, which are of course LED. And for all those who are asking, the scanner of my KITT is an LED scanner. You don't see the halogen bulbs inside. It's combined with the ZA Electronics dashboard, so it's a pretty cool scanner setup. I like it very much because it has built-in sounds, so and it's very bright and don't use a lot of power. So it even has a motion detector, as I showed you, which is built in like over there. So it's a really cool setup actually. Don't use that much power, and once if you have a good battery, you can just power the car at the show for around 3 hours, which without any problems. So you don't need a much bigger battery for that. So I'll just turn off all the lights, and you can see how it looks like without the without all the lights, like this. So now you can just imagine how it looks at the car show. I just have to turn off the hazard lights. Like this. Now you can see how it would look like at the car show. You can see it turned on with the scanner turned on like this. So of course when you go to a car show, you turn on the scanner and you don't even notice the DRLs, so they are almost invisible. So far for this light setup. So I'll just turn it off shortly. And another cool thing is, if you turn on the hazard lights, oh, before I forget it, I just told you before that the DRLs would be almost invisible. Yeah, they are almost invisible if you turn off the ignition. So what I showed you before is the setup. Like if you go to a car show and you forget the key inside the car and leave the ignition on, but that should not be the case actually. But just letting you know that's not the case, that you drive on a car show and leave the DRLs on. So I'm gonna show you something really quick. So if you turn on the hazard lights, the cool thing is about the dashboard. So that's the show effect. You know, I just wanted to show you that if you turn on the hazard lights, that on the control center of the dashboard, you should be able to see the word hazard. Like it tells you that the hazard lights are on. But right now, I turned them off before. I wanted to show them to you again. And KITT don't want to show that or display that again. So yeah, sometimes you think KITT has a mind of its own. So they still don't want to show it. But no problem at all. No worries. So that's almost it, or that's it for the light setup of the car. So there isn't actually any more that I can tell you about that. Right now I have the headlight switch is like hidden underneath the dashboard. So you have to reach underneath here and turn on and off the headlights. But that's not a big thing actually. That's no big thing if you get the hint. That's not a big problem actually. So while you're driving, you can just hit the button and turn on the headlights. So I had in the past time, I had to drive around 3 or 4 times at night, and the problem if you drive at night is dashboard is really bright. So it's not really easy to focus on the road, um, especially, or not especially for me. It's like if you would drive with another car like KITT and you turn on uh, the light inside the car, so you are not able to focus on the road um, that good. But I can show you the setup for that. So normally it's made like this. If you are wiring up the dashboard like it's supposed to be, you have a cable which you are wiring up to the lights, to the light indicator. Once you hit that button to turn on the headlights, the dashboard is dimming down the lights or even turn off some parts of the dashboard. So that's a really cool thing if you're driving at night. You don't get disturbed by the countdown or the voice box or all the lights inside the car. And you can even choose how much it should dim down. And you have a menu inside the dashboard. You can even you can choose if you want to turn off the lights on the side, like the dummy displays. um, I'll show you right now how that works, but I have a little bit different setup because I wanted to choose by myself if I use the dimmer switch or not, because there are sometimes you just need the dashboard with all the with the full power, with the full lights at night. So for example, if you make a video or something like that, if you're driving around and you have just a dashboard dimmed down, you it's not a that cool effect if you have it dimmed down and even turned off the countdown. So I thought I wire up a switch, not a Nintendo Switch, but a normal mechanical switch inside the car, inside the center console. So I'm gonna show you that. I think I showed that in another video before, but I can show it another time. So once once if it's dark outside, I never could ride in the passenger seat of my KITT. You see, I'm a tall guy, and I already had to use some seat extension brackets for this driver's seat here. Almost like I think they did it in the show as well for Hasselhoff because he was a tall guy as well. Um, but that's another story. If you, by the way, if you are interested that I'm just making a video talking about Knight Rider stuff and not about my KITT replica as well, just write in the comments. I can do that as well. I know much about the TV show, especially because I watch almost all the videos of the Knight Rider historians. But that's not the point right now. I just wanted to show you the dimming function of the car. So inside the center console, it's right now it's a mess inside because there are a lot of tools and stuff like that inside. And as you can see, my center console opens up like this because it's a Camaro console, not a Trans Am. But Yes, it is what it is. I tell you about that later. Um, and I saw now KITT is displaying the hazard message on the display board, so I might be able to show you that, or maybe you can see it from this angle, I don't know. So if I hit the switch, you see that it's dimming down, or maybe you can't see it because it's a little bit too bright outside here. Um, it's most of the time it's for filming, it's more effective if you do it in a little bit darker environment. So I can hit the switch and it's dimming down, it's turning off all these dummy displays, or not all of them here are dummy, but they are like some functions aren't necessary to see at dark. It turns off the voice box lights, it turns off the countdown, it turns off the switch pod lights. For the overhead and lower console, I don't have wired them up to the power right now, but it's coming soon as well. So once you hit the switch again, it turns on the full lights again. Um, yeah, that's it for um, this time. That's it for all of the stuff which has to do with the light setup. So once again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I just try to get out of the car again. So just gonna show you the hazard message. You can see it now here. So it just displays all the, or most of the warnings of the car, like seat belts, handbrake. If you have the handbrake on and you have the cables connected, it will just give you a message that you have to use the seat belts. But actually, it's just displaying them. KITT isn't telling anything about that. It's not voice activated or something like that. What's voice activated is the warning message about the fuel, that he is running low on fuel, and my dear friend Motor Scotty, should be able to prove um, that almost every time I drive to him, I'm not a person who always gets enough gas into the car, especially if you have a car like this. You should always watch the gas, because it's a little bit tricky sometimes to see how much gas is left inside the car, especially if before you had a needle, an analog needle, which showed you a little bit better how much gas is inside the tank. Um, but here it's a little bit more difficult, I think. But that's a story for another time. But yes, KITT is always, or most of the time, he's complaining about having too less fuel inside his tank, and it gets so annoying because every time, if you have around 10 or 12% fuel left, I have the setting on, like, I think 7% or 8% gas left, and if you're driving downhills or uphill, or just parking the car a little bit, not in a good angle, so he thinks that he hasn't enough gas left. So KITT is always complaining, like every 10 seconds he's telling me that there's not enough gas inside the tank. Yeah, uh, that's just a funny side story for you guys. So I think that's mostly it for this video. I I hope you liked it, and if so, please share, like, and subscribe. And I see you next time. If you have any idea for topics for next videos, write them down in the description. I would be very happy to do another video like this, and I hope you enjoy them. I enjoying making them, and see you next time. Bye.